It is Thursday on Raid Shadow Legends, but you knew that. Now, bad legendaries need to exist to make the good ones seem better, or at least that's what they tell you, because let's be honest now, if you wanted a copy of this guy, it doesn't matter if you pulled 50 of her and 70 of him. If you wanted a newt, then Harima and Rotos are not newt. End of. So having a lot of others who are significantly worse in power level amongst their different roles is kind of just, well, buy more shards, I guess. So we're gonna do exactly what the video title says. None of the say one thing, do another. And in no particular order, we're gonna go through the 7 worst Affinity legendaries in the game. Now this is not going to include anyone that you can't get out of a Sacred Shard, regardless of how laughably bad they are. And yeah, so beginning, we're going to start with Baragor the Elder. Now this champion was designed back when increase and decrease resistance were newly added buffs and debuffs to the game, and Plarium vastly overestimated the actual value in these, because the champs they're attached to are not very good. So first off, this is a 4-turn cooldown. That's all this does. It doesn't do anything else, and you either don't care about being debuffed in the first place, or you need some decent resistance investment on your champion to not get debuffed. This is this part would be okay if not for the fact that the only time it goes to 100% chance is if it's critical. Now, this doesn't attack. This doesn't attack. So you're just building crit rate on this champion for what reason? Like, just make it 100% chance baseline. What's wrong with you, really? So going back to the A2, it removes 1 debuff. That's all it does. Because for some reason, a full cleanse is not a legendary trait. Like, just have it cleanse everything. It's already worse than so many other champions in that regard, especially when it doesn't provide block debuffs or anything. And this should be 3-turn cooldown, give us like increased strength as well, or an extra turn or something. This is okay. This could be like 15%, but yeah, this champion does pretty much nothing. Like, he's the Elder, yeah, he should have just retired. This whole war concept isn't good for him anymore. So next is Pixniel. Pixniel is a champion that Plarium have buffed 50,000 times and still no one used her. Why? Well, first off, let's look at her A1. Yeah. 6 books. And for what? What are we doing here? The damage ratio for this is... You're not exactly going to be using Nuke Pixniel trying to left click down all of your opponents, and yeah, like maybe if this also applied a freeze or something, or had damage amplification based off enemies frozen, but then again, she's a support champ, not an attack champion, so I don't know what this is for apart from... But anyone who's booking it deserves anything bad that happens to him anyway. In-game. Next is... I mean, this skill's fine. Like, I don't really have too much of a problem with this. Just this weird conditional. I think this should just place weaken regardless of the freeze. Or add another continuous heal, because this is kind of an epic ability. Like, if we're going to look at, like, okay, memorize increased defense, continuous heal. Right? Got it? Okay, let's look over to Bannerlords. Black Knight. He does this on a 2-turn cooldown, and this is a champion from 1781, so yeah. And even then, no one considers Black Knight to be that good. So back to Pixniel, we now have a AoE freeze on a 4-turn cooldown. We have AoE stuns on a 3-turn cooldown that also have additional effects, and when you compare this to Shiromani, who is the exact same faction, this also gives her a bit of turn meter, so does it really matter if she's legally distinct Shiromani? Come on. And then you have this immune to freeze passive, like designed as a Torment counter, but we already have Torment counters in the game. It's called block debuffs. Like, you don't need this champion for anything at all. So, next up is going to be over to Banlords, Richter for Bold. Now, this is a champion that I don't think even player knows is in the game anymore. He's so absurdly outdated. Like, was there even any point where he was actually useful? Answers in the comments, I guess. So, first off, he has this as an AoE which destroys max HP, which would be fine, except the damage ratio is... yeah, so you aren't destroying anything there. Just get rid of this, make this apply a poison or something. Next is this, which is worse Tomb Lords A2. They buffed this guy. He now places 4 poisons in everyone, and he's pretty decent. Richtoff isn't. Now, either make this place a 4th poison, or make it so this doesn't require accuracy. Because at that point, you can at least put more stats into attack, speed, etc. And then you have this, which is a single target hit, no mitigation shred whatsoever. Now, if you're wondering, what's mitigation shred? Now, what's damage mitigation? It's anything that reduces damage that you take, whether with a defense stat, shields, strengthen, eye protection, etc. And this skill ignores none of that. And would it really be broken if it could stack up to 200% if they had 10 poisons on them? Like, come on. Right? It's an attack legendary. If he should be hitting someone unprotected with 5 poison debuffs on them, they should die no matter what. Right? So this should probably be AoE or ignore defense or something, or they'll get around to this champion sometime in the next 5 years, right? Right? Okay. Moving over to Skinwalkers is a cow. Now this fusion was left out of the game pretty much immediately, because it's still one of these champions where power budget is wasted on this. Now, you already know this, but the issue here is if you're trying to decrease the resistance on, like, a Mithrala or something who has, like, 1,000 of the stat. I should stop saying like all the time. I don't know how I've gotten into a habit of that. I'm not a Californian Valley girl. I don't know why I'm saying that. So anyway, the issue is that you need an absolute ton of resistance accuracy on this champ to land this against really high resistance targets. And at that point, you might as well just have high accuracy on your supposed debuffers instead. There is not much point in this. Next is this. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't cleanse, anything of the sort. We have champions who do this. I can't remember their names, but they do exist. And, okay, you still a random buff. Then what do you do with it? You just sit in it because you do nothing. And then your passive makes you go faster so you can do more of nothing. Yeah, great champion. Thanks. So, while we're here on Skinwalkers, regarding the Hacker and Smash Lord buff, I said that they shouldn't reduce the ratio on this. They reduced it. This would not have been anywhere near overpowered if this was still at 0.5x. Instead, we're at 0.28x depression, and the shield doesn't even scale off his max HP, it's off damage dealt. So, if this doesn't hit very hard, you don't get much of a shield. Like, really, what's the point? We have this champion in the game. We have this champion. Like, I know they avoid legendaries, but still. We can push HP multipliers up a bit further in terms of damage dealers. So, next on the list is going to be HSE Ring. Now, this champion was designed by an intern who had previously played Hearthstone. You can't prove me wrong. Because everything he does is at random. But the issue with attacks at random is the damage multiplier is balanced around all 4 of these hits going off a single target. And again, you have to ask, if they're hitting all 4 times on one target, then why isn't an attack legendary one-shotting someone? It doesn't ignore defense, mitigation, anything of a sort, and has this really weird conditional to it in terms of hating 2 factions in specific. Yeah. Just make this do more damage, give this some ignore defense, Same here, ignore some more, give him some turn meter or something. It doesn't do anything else, it just ignores defense. And okay. So he gets a perfect veil for one turn. Why not 2 turns? Make this extend counter perfect veil depending on how many critical hits he does, and otherwise just think of something else. He was fine for a short period back when we only had finite 25, and he could fully deplete finite's turn meter, or at least deplete a lot of it while doing good single target damage. Well, good enough for the time. But now he's just... yeah. Also, going back to Larashi real quick, make this cleansed, make this not check accuracy at all, so you can actually... and... I don't know. Let's be honest, it's not happening. So, next one is going to be Nama Veritan. And this is like on the one I have, so if anyone says, oh, you're just choosing champions you have when, well, clearly you didn't look at what's grayed out. So, designed as a poison specialist, the first issue is that everything she does is single target. The next issue is that... yeah, 16 bucks. 16 bucks. And this... okay. Got this memorized. Yeah. This is a strictly better version, and this champion came out like 20 years before Nama Return did. And he does pretty much nothing else apart from that. Like, sure, he has this for their Ashlift strategy in Arena to bomb people, but apart from that, any invent to Honoractals is better. Also, Jack Bonesaw, who is a relatively new addition to the game, who most people don't even know exists. So going back to Nama, just make everything she does AoE. It's not going to break the champion at all. Like, sure, she's legally distinct to Theodore the Savant, who is the same faction, but they're not that similar, so yeah, just make everything she does AoE. And but it looks like 4-turn duration, because, like, 3 turns. Okay, this should be 4 turns duration. Add more poisons, I'll just do something. It's not even funny at this point. Okay. Over to Orcs is King Garog. King of what? We don't know. So King Garog has the issue where he is attack legendary with no self-defense, pretty underwhelming damage. Yeah, this is a 5-turn cooldown. You're reading that right. And this has no mitigation shred whatsoever. Like, why not just reset the cooldown of Gore Makeup? Why do we have to flip a coin 4 times? It's on a 5-turn cooldown. 5 turns. And this should just not check accuracy. Nothing else in his kit requires accuracy. Why should this? All that happens is if he stuns someone, he gets polymorphed anyway, right? So at that point, just why even have the stun at all? Because if you don't want to be debuffed, just don't use polymorphs. Now, excuse us while we keep adding champions with debuffs into the game who are reliant on them in order to deal damage. I mean, funny that, isn't it? And moving over to his passive, he gets 6 speed. 6! So by the time he's killed 5 enemies, he gets this much. That's 30 speed. This could be 60, could be 90, could be 120. People still aren't going to care. Just give him some kind of permadeath, or an extra turn when they're revived, or put some cooldown, or something. Like, this champion is just sad. He's really, really sad. And Orcs made to fighting and winning. This one most certainly not. And yeah, I think we are done, aren't we? Is that 6 or is that 7? I'm trying to think. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 7. So, yeah, that's the 7 worst Affinity Legendaries in the game that you could ever get out of a Sacred Shard. Because at that point, you might as well just have Epics instead for your brand new Epic Empowerment. Also, honorable mention to Gamaran, who is kind of a spud, but he's got very, very niche use because Shulkin does not have too much in the way of revivers. Do they have any legendary reviver at all? No, they don't. You either have to use, I think it's this champion. Also, you're welcome. Or this champion. Wait, yeah, this one. So, yeah, he's got a little bit of niche use of there, so he's not totally useless unlike the others where there is no saving grace from whatsoever. So, right. See ya.